Hi guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you an if you like this book, maybe you should try this book video. I tried to choose popular books and then unpopular books so that you can find some less well-known or less hyped books that are still just as good as the popular ones. So let's get started because I have 10 if you like this, try this recommendations for you. First of all, I'm going to start with if you like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, you should try The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniels. Now, I'm only going to be telling you what the underrated one is about. So The Summer That Melted Everything follows this city where it's really hot. It's the middle of summer and the preacher invites the devil to come to the town because he's curious to know what the devil's like. This young boy shows up and proclaims he is the devil, and things just spiral there because the citizens of the town are not happy, and whether the devil causes trouble or not, you'll have to read to find out. Now, what I liked about The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was the writing was a masterpiece, and it was so well crafted that you can tell that the author really put their time and effort into this, and the writing was fantastic. And just like that, the writing in The Summer That Melted Everything is fantastic, and in a similar way to Evelyn Hugo, everything comes together so well in the end, and it makes you think about different concepts in a deeper way than you previously would have, and I think both of these books just do that so well, and if you enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy this one too. If you enjoyed The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, I think you should try A Song to Take the World Apart by Zan Romanoff. Now, A Song to Take the World Apart by Zan Romanoff is also magical realism in a low-key kind of way, just like the Raven Boys series. And in this one, it's about this girl who's been told she's never allowed to sing in public because what she doesn't know is that she is actually a siren, and when she starts to sing in public one time and her boyfriend starts to fall in love with her, her mum reveals how this was not really something she should have done, how she's taken away the choice, and she kind of feels tempted to keep on doing this. But, you know, she's also coming of age, it's also she's going through secondary school and growing up. It's something that sounds like a melody when Maggie Stiefvater writes, and A Song to Take the World Apart kind of mimics that, but in a different way. I felt like the writing style clearly reminded me of The Ocean, which makes so much sense because this one is about a siren. I can't articulate how it got me to that feeling, but it did it so well. I think they both have quite magical writing styles, and I like how they both low-key include magic in them, so definitely try both of these out. If you liked The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, you should definitely try Gone by Michael Grant. This one is one of my favourite series. What happens is that it's a group of teenagers and they live in Peridot Beach, and then one day, just all at the same time, poof, all the people over 15 years old disappear. And when they venture outside, they find out there's this large dome that is over their city that they can't get out of, so all these 15-year-old kids are trapped under the dome and they start to develop superpowers. A lot goes down and this series just escalates. There are 6 books in this series, and with each and every single one of them, the stakes rise higher. They're all fighting for themselves, fighting each other, and it kind of reminds me of being in the Hunger Games, the way that these kids treat each other, except they have powers. I like this more than the Hunger Games, and I really do recommend it. Moving on, if you like The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, I would recommend you try The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. So The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed is a book about this group of girls who live in this town where sexual assault is very common and rape culture is very intense, and these girls decide to start this club called the Nowhere Girls, who are anonymous, and they are trying to do a strike to hopefully lash out against the rape culture and bring it to light and make it stop. In a similar way to The Hate You Give being very activist story, very focused on the social movement of Black Lives Matter, The Nowhere Girls is also very activist and focused on the movement of tackling rape culture and putting an end to it, and I think both of those in that way handle the topics perfectly. There's nothing more I want to say on racism that isn't tackled in The Hate You Give, and there's nothing more I want to say on rape culture that isn't tackled in The Nowhere Girls. So, feminist, strong female leads who kick butt and are moving activists. If you liked A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, I think you should try Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. So these ones are scarily similar, and I read this one and then straight away read this one, which is why those comparisons are just very clear in my mind. But this one follows this girl who is a siren. Can you tell I like siren stories? and she makes this deal with this fae, and every time you make a deal you have to pay off a debt. And she's done so many deals that she never thought she would have to pay off her debts, but now the fae has returned to her and he's trying to cash in on those debts. As well as that, this one is actually very focused on being a sexual assault survivor, which surprised me because I just wasn't expecting it to be such an integral part of the storyline, but it really very much is. I think it did a great job with building the characters. The explicit scenes were actually brilliant in this one, better than in A Court on Thorns and Roses if you ask me, but I wasn't a big fan of this book. So if you liked The Little Prince by Anton de Saint-Exupéry, might be saying that wrong, I would recommend A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Okay, you can see those books there, but just don't mind those. So The Little Prince is a very well-known tale, but in this one it uses the aspects of storytelling to show morals, to show some very important themes, and in a similar way A Monster Calls does have that storytelling element as well. In A Monster Calls it's about Connor. His mum is currently diagnosed with cancer and it's quite a dire situation, and he's just trying to live through that and deal with all the emotions that come with that. But every single night at 12:07 a monster comes to his window and him and the monster tell stories. And in a similar way the storytelling is very focused and a main part of the story, in especially when it comes to Connor and figuring out his emotions to do with his mother and cancer. This one is a lot more sad than The Little Prince, but I think these are both suited for all ages and the storytelling just shows why they work well together. If you liked Wonder by R.J. Palacio, I think you should try Out of My Mind by Sharon M. Draper. So Out of My Mind follows this girl who has cerebral palsy, I believe, and she can't speak, but she's very, very smart and she feels so trapped in her body. It's also middle grade and she just feels trapped in her body and she can't say anything. But this new technology is developed where she can suddenly start to speak for the first time. Her parents have never heard her voice, but now that Mel has a voice, is everybody ready to hear it? This tale was just so harrowing for me. It really moved my soul. It made me sad at times. It made me so happy at times. It was just a very big emotional roller coaster, especially as it also has wheelchair rep. In a similar way, Wonder is a middle grade that also deals with a young boy who has facial deformity. Although Mel doesn't have a facial deformity, they both have physical challenges. So I think these two really pair up well together, and also they're both blue covers. Isn't that so nice? Now let's do some classics. So if you liked Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, I believe you should try the complete Father Brown stories by G.K. Chesterton. In my opinion, I didn't really like Sherlock Holmes, but I really loved this one. So they're both detective stories, murder mysteries, but what makes Father Brown so unique is that Father Brown is actually a priest, so he kind of uses faith and religion in his morals and the way that he tackles a crime. What also makes Father Brown stories very interesting is the way that enemies and sidekicks kind of interchange and exchange, and I really did enjoy reading these detective stories. They're also short stories just like Sherlock Holmes, although Sherlock Holmes does have a few novels as well, and I just think they both kind of use similar methods of detection, whether Father Brown also kind of leans on the Agatha Christie way of also focusing on human nature as well as the facts, and I just think these two go very well together. Same genre, although he came later and personally thinking he did it better. Next up, if you enjoyed And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, I think you should try Death and the Dancing Footman by Ngaio Marsh. Now, Death and the Dancing Footman is a murder mystery where this man decides to invite all of these dinner guests to his house, and he is also in the house, and he invites them just because he wants to see how this drama is going to unfold, because all of them have had negative experiences with each other and they all have reasons to dislike each other. However, there are 2 attempted murders and then there is 1 successful murder, but who has done it? Because they all clearly have motive, and when this happens it suddenly snows like crazy and they're all trapped inside this house because it is far too cold and snowy to go anywhere. So it's kind of like And Then There Were None, the isolated house setting where they have to stay in the house but a murder has happened and you have to figure out who did it, and they all have motives or the ability to kill each other. It was fantastic. They're both fantastic books. Read both of them actually. If you enjoyed Hamlet by William Shakespeare, you should read The Dead Fathers Club by Matt Haig. This one is a bit of an easy comparison. Hamlet is the original tale and this is a retelling of Hamlet. But guys, this is a brilliant retelling of Hamlet. So it is a middle grade, and Hamlet is a young child whose father just died in a car crash. However, I feel like in this one it's made more explicitly clear that we don't know if the uncle figure actually murdered him or not. It could be that he was murdered, it could be that he wasn't, and unlike in Hamlet where it's certain that Claudius murdered Hamlet's father, we actually don't know in this case, which makes it all the more interesting to see what Hamlet will do. Yes, Hamlet is tasked with killing him, which is a bit of a dark thing for a children's story, but at the same time it's very within question whether Hamlet is crazy or not crazy, whereas in Hamlet, more or less, we're expected to believe that Hamlet is sane. But in this one, Hamlet could be going through the grieving process and be out of his mind while doing that. So I just found it so interesting how Matt Haig warped these themes that Hamlet brings across and changed them a bit. He changes the Ophelia storyline, the ending ends perfectly, and he also has a unique way of laying out some of the words on the page in this one. So good, highly recommend. And there you guys have it. That is your if you like this, you should try this video. Please let me know if you're willing to try any of these underrated books. If you've read any of the popular ones or unpopular ones, just let me know in the comment section down below. Please give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you liked it, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. If you enjoyed The Raven Boys by by Maggie. Moving on, if you liked the Hunger Games. And then, last but not least, if you enjoyed Hamlet by William Shakespeare, you should read Death and the Dancing Footman by Death and the Dancing Footman.